You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast.
Today we have a conversation with Michelle and a woman from our community. Her husband suffers from addiction, and so does her son. Today we're talking about her son and what it's been like and how she's healed all the while he's still drinking. We talk about why he might suffer from addiction and why exactly that's important. She also shares some valuable tips for mothers out there and how you can help your children today. As always, let's make space and welcome her and her story without judgment.
Thank you so much, Polly, for agreeing to speak with me today about your son, Alex's addiction. Can you tell me a little bit about him? How old is he? What kind of substances does he struggle with?
Okay. He'll be 25 in a few weeks. And his big thing right now is drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I say right now because it kind of started with just smoking pot, and I don't mean just smoking pot, taking it lightly, but at the time I did, you know. And then after he went out on his own, he started doing Adderall to help him with his job or, you know, just give him the energy to continue what was high expectations of him at his job. And I don't know when the drinking started. I can only assume that there was a traumatic event that happened to him, and that's when the drinking started, and it is out of control.
So you said you can assume there was a traumatic event that happened to him. Are you still in touch with him?
Oh, yes. Yes. I know that there was a traumatic event, but I can only assume that that's why he started drinking.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
The timeline.
When did he start smoking pot? How old was he?
12.
12. Okay. What was going on in his life when that started?
Gosh. I think it was, I went back to work and we had them in activities all the time before they went into middle school. So middle school came around and the activities they aged out of, so they were kind of on their own. And they, you know, thought they were big boys, and they just decided that that's what they wanted to do. And I was not around very much.
And I know that because we talked before, Alex is a twin. So I know when you say they, now did Alex's twin smoke pot as well?
He did.
Isn't that
but he does not now.
So he does not now. And does Alex's twin suffer from any kind of addiction?
No.
Wow. Okay, so that is interesting. So you have, are they identical twins?
Yes, they are.
Wow. So they're identical twins, both started smoking pot at the same age, but one became addicted and one didn't, which I'm assuming means that's where you came to the conclusion that Alex is suffering from addiction because of a traumatic event.
Correct.
Is that accurate? Okay. Yeah, because we often talk about if there's either a predisposition that they're born with or there's a traumatic event and this is how they are coping with the unwanted feelings of trauma. That's usually where the specialists in addiction come out with either one or two of those reasons of why our children are suffering. So, okay, what age did that traumatic event occur?
That was last year.
Last year. Okay.
Hmm.
So he was smoking pot and then he went to Adderall. Was he taking Adderall did he attend college? Was he taking Adderall during college?
No, he did not go to college. He went directly to the workforce, and
Okay.
it's kind of funny how he was promoted because he was just kind of, I don't know what to do, and he didn't have a direction. So I said, well, let's just try some temp jobs, and we'll see what you like. Maybe you'll, decide you like that and you'll go to college for that and learn more. And so that's the direction we took. Anyway, he got a temp job in a manufacturing facility, and within 3 weeks he was in management.
Wow.
So
He's
they
very
just kept piling and the responsibilities on him, and he didn't know how to say no. He just wanted to keep, doing the best he could, and they just kept taking advantage. It got to the point, he was actually sleeping at work because there was so much to do.
Wow.
He wouldn't go home.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, what dedication to his job. How were you feeling at the time? Were you aware that he was taking or abusing Adderall? Were you just kind of proud of him for showing such amazing work ethic, or were you worried because you never saw your son anymore? How are you feeling about this?
Well, I was not in the area at the time. I was in a different state, so I couldn't see him very much. And I knew that he was working a lot, but I knew that it was too much. And I would tell him, you need to take time for yourself. And he said, Mama, there's just no time. There is no time for myself.
So where is he now? You said he drinks very heavily. So is he still in this job?
No, he quit that job. And he is at a different, facility. And, he's doing well. He just does not, fit in with that group. So.
Okay. So but he's still actively drinking, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right. And did you, during this whole time, encourage him to get treatment? Did you research treatment? How did you, with knowing that your son was struggling so much?
How did I know?
How did you cope? Like, did you suggest
how did I
rehab?
cope?
Did you try to get him help?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what were other family members doing to try and help?
Well, his twin was a big one. He, called him, they talked every day. So it was a constant, you need to get your life in order, you need to do this. If you could just stop, with, the craziness, then, we could get you on a track where you could be successful. And, it wouldn't have to be so chaotic all the time. I knew that he has an aversity to doctors, and he would not even go to a doctor or a counselor. He would not. I mean, just even the mention of it, he just shut me down. Just right there.
Wow.
He can cope with it himself. He knows how to handle it. Don't worry, and that's their big thing. They don't want me to worry. So they just kind of keep it quiet. So.
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how was your husband reacting to all of this?
My husband, it's kind of, let me think. when the kids turned like 21, he pretty much said they're all adults. They're going to do what they want. If they ask me for advice or anything, I will happily give it to them, but I'm not going to interrupt in their lives.
And
And
so
I
how did
shouldn't
that make
either.
you feel? Yeah, and you shouldn't either.
Well,
And how, yeah.
well,
How did
I'm a
you feel
mama,
about
you
that?
know.
Yeah.
He and I are completely on different pages.
Yeah.
But, you know, he is active in his own addiction and has his own mess going on. So I'm dealing with, you know, two different sides.
Wow.
So I've kind of had to work my own, recovery, so to say, work on my own mental state and keep myself sane because I was driving myself crazy with their stuff.
I bet. What did you do? Like, give us some specifics. What did you do that you found helpful, and then what did you do that just didn't work?
Well, the first thing I did, I went to an Al-Anon meeting, and you know, I couldn't even tell you what happened. I just remember one sentence out of the whole thing, and that was "keep coming back." So I was like, okay. I did not speak a word other than my name for a solid year before I shared anything. And then I got to meet some very wonderful women, and we shared. I also started counseling on my own, and that really put me on my own path, you know, a way to keep myself in a good place. So, you know, it started with those two things, and then, you know, I found the LOA program. Actually, a friend of mine from Al-Anon suggested it, and I'm doing well. Doing well now.
Good.
If I start getting
That's
crazy,
awesome.
I have to think, okay, go back to you, Polly.
Yeah. Isn't that true? Okay, so what are like triggers that make you feel crazy, and then what do you do in those moments?
Well, I've pretty much kind of stepped away from triggers. However, if I don't get a response from my son within, I don't know, 2 days, I'll call him. He's not a big phone call person. He likes to be text. So he knows that, you know, 2 days, that's my limit. I need to know that you're all right. You know? And I can always call, you know, his brother or his sister and say, hey, you know, cause they're all pretty tight. Have you heard from Alex? Is he all right? And then they'll just say yes or no, and they don't give me any details, which I'm grateful for, you know, because they know it's going to send me over the edge if I know. So.
What does over the edge look like for you? I mean, what are they preventing you from doing?
Oh, getting on the computer and finding, you know, rehabs and finding doctors and finding natural cures and finding all kinds of things. If he would just do this,
Totally.
You know, basically getting involved in things that he has no interest in right now. So basically I'm just winding myself up for no good reason.
That's very helpful to hear. So you stay off the computer and you stay in your own lane, and you've got kids that will help kind of put boundaries in place for you.
Right.
That's very, and yet you know, okay, every 2 days I just need is it a quick conversation or is it a quick text message saying, hey, I'm okay?
Yeah, a text message is great. You know, I don't have to talk to him if he doesn't want to talk to me. That's okay. You know, if he's not in a good place, that's okay. that's not my place to be. That's his place to be. And if he wants to be in that place and be uncomfortable, then okay. That's his life.
Did you ever go through a phase where you blamed yourself, or you thought, okay, maybe I should have left my husband, or if I had done things differently? I know a lot of parents struggle with that. Did you ever go through that phase?
Oh, absolutely I did. Absolutely I did. And I kind of, it's a little bit more involved because I asked him to, kind of take care of his dad at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was a big deal. So I kind of feel a little responsible. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everybody goes through something, and it's on them to fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whether it be, you know, eating too much and then you have to lose the weight, or whether it's, you know, getting into a bad relationship that you have to, you know, separate yourself from. It's that person's individual life. So I just have to let him live his life.
Yeah, and is that like a daily decision, or did you find that you kind of had this moment where you let him go and you kind of surrendered the fantasy of him, you know, getting sober tomorrow and realized this might be a longer journey than I'd hoped? Was there a moment, or was it every day you wake up and go, okay, I gotta continue to stay in my lane and do my own recovery?
Oh yeah, it's an everyday thing. I've got to keep my boundaries tight around me because I know that I can worry about everybody. I'm a good worrier. I'm really good at that. And I can't, I just can't fix everybody else.
Yeah. Worrying, we can almost become addicted to addiction if we let ourselves. Yeah. And that can become our full-time job, is worrying about everyone else. And it's very convenient too, because it allows us to keep the focus off of our own personal growth, right? And therefore, you know, put the desire to fix and mend on everyone else, when really it should be us, and we should be fixing and mending ourselves. So I think that's a wonderful thing that what is the most helpful thing that you learned in this process, or one of them?
Gosh, I think it's just that I can't heal someone else. You know, I'm not God. I can't make someone go right if they want to go left. I can't make somebody do something. So, I just have to focus on me and figure out what I want to do.
I love that. Let me ask you one more question. What have you, and this is going to be a tough question. Have you ever thought about, what if your son doesn't ever get better? I mean, I have 3 kids that I know have a genetic predisposition to addiction. And my greatest fear with one of my kids, my oldest is 18 right now, and my greatest fear, and I think about it almost every day, is they're going to end up in jail, or even worse, they're going to end up dying from this disease. Because I know their biological dad, they've since been adopted, but their biological dad has come very close to death so many times. So do you worry about that? And if you worry about that, how do you walk yourself through that?
I do worry about that. Because I can see the physical deterioration of him. I can see that he needs help, but he doesn't see it. When I think of something like that, as soon as it pops into my mind, I try to shut it down because
Mhm.
I'm so good at going off the deep end. So
Right.
I just have to say a quick prayer and, you know, I just
Yep.
have to let it go. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about that often. Okay, so for all of the moms out there who are listening, because we've got thousands of them that have
Uh-huh.
young kids who, like me, their husbands are suffering from addiction. They know this might be a reality in the future. They know that there is, like you just so wonderfully said, if it is, there's nothing you can do about it until they're ready to do something about it. Looking back, is there anything different or is there any advice that you can give young moms to say, hey, make sure you do this, or don't do this, or for example, talk to your kids about addiction, frequently, your younger kids, or is there any kind of advice or helpful tips you could give younger moms?
I would say keep them close to your heart. Especially middle school, when they do have that little bit of freedom and, they're aging out of programs and you have to kind of let them do some things on their own, keep a very close watch, whether it be you or a neighbor. I did have one time, there's a little convenience store that was in front of their middle school, and they would stop in and get a donut before middle school because they rode their bikes. I actually went into the middle school and introduced myself to all the workers and gave them my phone numbers, just because. Only one time did I get a phone call, and let me tell you, the group of moms that were either on the phone, driving by, or, stopping in for milk, it is huge to have your tribe around you, to keep your kids close, to keep an eye on them, to know that, when things do get out of line, you got to shut it down. And I didn't shut it down fast enough. So that's on me, but I've got to let that go because I can't change it.
Yeah.
So I would say, moms,
what's
keep
that
close.
like messaging? What's that messaging in your head? Because I know exactly what you're talking about shutting it down. And I think as moms, particularly as women who love to be fun or love to please or love to want their kids to love them, we do struggle with saying no, right? And so
Correct.
when you were, walk me through, like, when you were there and there must have been some messaging telling you shut it down. But then what was that battle in your head like? Like, why did you ultimately decide to let it go and not shut it down? What was that reasoning so we can identify it as moms and go, okay, there it is. There's that nagging voice, or there's that desire to please. I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to continue to shut this down.
I think it was more that my husband had an issue as well. So if it was okay for Dad, then it was okay for them. And I should have, like I said, shut that down a long time ago. But
yeah,
I didn't. So
that's okay.
I think the boundaries for the kids were blurred.
Yeah.
I let them get away with way too much.
Was that because you thought, okay, my husband is doing this, and so it would be hypocritical of me to say no to them when I'm saying nothing to my husband? Was that what it was like?
No. It was more of, they were really good manipulators, and they protected each other. So if one of them was under the influence, then they wouldn't come around me. They'd go to the back of the house where Dad was and come in through the back of the house, or do things like that where, you know, they wouldn't have to confront me. They wouldn't have to be in my face.
Got it.
Until, you know, they were okay and they knew that they were okay.
Right. Okay,
So the manipulation started early.
Yeah. Well, it does, doesn't it? I mean, I even
Yes,
look at
it
my
does.
8-year-old sometime and I'm like, all right, dude, I'm on to you.
Right.
Okay. Well, I am so grateful that you were willing to go here with me. I know for sure that what you just shared, women are listening and going, I can apply that. I need to pay attention to that. That was really helpful. I know you just helped many people. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we go that you think might be helpful or that somebody out there needs to hear?
The only thing is to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter what is going on with your child, your loved one, whoever. If I'm not okay, then everybody else is not going to be okay. The kids tell me, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's so true.
So that goes on so many levels. So
Totally.
keep mama happy. Keep mama happy.
Totally. And I don't know why it is that we struggle with that so much. I mean, just this morning, I talk about this all the time until I'm blue in my face. And just this morning, I was feeling so overwhelmed. My husband is traveling. My kids who can drive, their car wasn't working. A tree fell on my car a couple weeks, so I'm in a rental. The dog was barking. The breakfast was burnt. It was like one thing after another. The cell phone wasn't charged. The kids were late. It was a disaster. And I get home and I just moved and my house is falling apart. And I just felt up to my neck, you know, that like anxiety or overwhelming, like you can't control it. And it rises through you and it just goes right up to the top of your neck. And you're like, I feel like I can't breathe. I can't catch a breath. And all you can think about is your list of to-dos, you know, and you look at the small things like, oh, I need nail polish remover, and this child, I need to get back to his tutor, and you look at your email, and it just keeps piling up. And it's exactly what you said. It's like I literally had to stop, ignore everything, and I lit one of my very favorite candles. It was sort of expensive, so I hate to burn it because I don't want to waste it, but I lit it. I have a playlist on iTunes that's literally iTunes for you. It's called Piano Chill Music. And I was like, that's exactly what I need, is to chill. And I just sat there and just put everything on paper and I felt so good. And I thought, why was there such resistance to do this? Like, why did I have to force myself? And then why do I feel so guilty actually doing this or thinking about doing this? It's this weird battle that women, I think, feel, this friction for taking care of themselves. But you're exactly right, because as soon as I did, and it took me about an hour and a half to wind down, which is a lot, I felt so much better. And now I can go pick up my kids and go about my day completely feeling centered and healthy.
Yep. Sometimes you have to do that. I don't do the quiet music type thing. I grab a pillow and scream into it, like as loud as many times as I can. And
that's great.
Then it's like, okay, I'm done. And sometimes tears come out.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Heck yeah, it is. It's so okay. I think it's so fantastic when whatever tools work. And I do think you got to find your tools, because you're right. Like, what works for me is probably not going to work for other people and vice versa. So find your thing. And I think also the resistance of this is, it is work. Like, make no mistake about it. To find what works for you, it took me a long time to figure it out. It took me months and months of trying a bunch of different things that everyone suggested and then feeling like something was wrong with me. Well, I'm listening to Deepak Chopra and Oprah's meditation 15-minute, and I'm still thinking about my to-do list. What is wrong with me? I'm terrible. And so it's like, okay, you know what? That ain't for me. Let me move on and try to find something else. So I'm glad that you found the pillow thing. That's a great technique. That's a good one. I hope somebody listening tries that out.
It works.
It sounds like it. Thank you again. I'm so grateful. I really, really am. I love your courage to talk to me and to use what happened to you to help other women, which is what this is really, really all about. So thank you, Polly. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you for putting this program out there and opening up for everyone to heal a little bit. So I'm very grateful.
I am too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
If you're a parent who has a child suffering from addiction, we have something just for you. Head over to loveoveraddiction.com/parents to get 7 free tips when your child suffers from addiction. And these were created by Michelle specifically for parent-child relationships. It's totally free. And again, you can get yours at loveoveraddiction.com/parents. And thank you, as always, for listening to this podcast. You all are the reason we do what we do, and we love hearing from you. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes, and be sure and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with Michelle's personal thoughts and beliefs. From one woman to another, bonded together by the fact we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.